Hello, Dr. Hora.
Hello.
We've been discussing prayer and meditation in our daily living, and I have a question about how to properly see the difference between repressing a thought, fearful or angry or self-confirmatory thought, versus transcending the thought
Yes.
that we are proceeding to understand in prayer, meditation, treatment.
Yes. Well, when you are repressing a thought, you are trying to hide it either from yourself or from others. See, if you're trying to hide it from yourself, that is called repression. If you're trying to hide it from others, it is called suppression. If you seek to transcend it, then you forgive yourself for it. You have compassion for yourself. And you say, well, I may have these feelings and I may have these thoughts, but I don't have to be involved with them because there is something higher and better for me to pay attention to. And this is a forgiveness. You forgive yourself for having those thoughts or experiences. And that we could call it compassion towards oneself. And that is important because unless you can have compassion for yourself, how will you have compassion for others, right?
Right.
So there is repression, there is suppression, and there is forgiveness and transcendence.
Thank you, Dr. Hora. That was very helpful.
You're welcome. Is my voice coming through loud and clear?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Dr. Hora, this is Joan.
Yes, John.
I have a situation, we're talking about being concerned with others, and I have a situation in my life that I'm very involved with, that I've discussed with Jan. It's, my sister-in-law and her 3 children, she's been ill and been unable to care for them, and the house is a mess, and they don't have any money. And I have discussed with Jan how to be helpful rather than help.
Yes, very good point.
Yes. And I've been considering it, but I thought it might be wise to try to discover the meaning of my motivation, and I continue to be concerned with it, and I want to help them, and I want to buy her kids clothes, and I want to clean her house, and it just keeps coming back in my mind. I think that all the time. And I thought that it would be wise for me to try to discover what my own motivation is. So that's my question.
Yeah, well, that's a very good idea. You have to scrutinize your own motivation. And that is the essence of being helping or being helpful. You see, when you are helping, you are a beneficent person. But beneficent persons are not appreciated very much. Because essentially that is a self-confirmatory way of being good. Right?
Yes, it feels very self-confirmatory because I keep coming back to it mentally all the time, and it feels like I'm so enthusiastic. I want to do so much.
Yes, yes. Well, and so being helpful means being available. If we are sincerely asked, being ready to respond to sincere requests. Otherwise, we don't obtrude ourselves into other people's lives and do good.
Well, that's really what's made it more difficult. He does ask for help,
Well, if she does, and if she really means it, you respond as best you can. But you must always make sure that it is requested rather than volunteered. Unsolicited solicitude is trespassing.
What has been bothering me, it's easy to help, and we have much more of a family than she, and when she asks, it's easy to help, and it's easy to organize the children into doing their work, and what has bothered me is my own kind of fascination with the horrible mess that everything's in, and my own need to just get in there and clean everything up and show everybody how it is to live in a clean house and wear clean clothes. And I can just feel something about my own enthusiasm that decides a request that is more than just responding.
Well, that's it suspicious.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I want to chase everybody up and get everybody dance together.
Yes, that wouldn't be right. Wouldn't be appreciated because it would be self-confirmatory.
Is it an expression of shirt thinking? Everybody's shirt versus worry, or?
It is an expression of the desire to be admired.
Oh. I'm so clean.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hora.
You're welcome.
Hello, Dr. Hora.
Hello.
Elizabeth.
Hello, Elizabeth.
In Ruth the other night, we were talking about spiritual ambition.
Yes.
And about how one can study very hard and get up early and pray and meditate, and ultimately the idea is self-confirmatory.
Right.
And I would like to have you talk about spiritual ambition and how that differs from existential commitment.
Yes. Well, the Apostle Paul calls it spiritual wickedness in high places. You're familiar with that passage?
I've heard it before. I didn't know what it meant, though.
That's what it means. Studying about spiritual reality in a hope that one will elevate oneself above other people and gain admiration. Well, of course, that will never get you. You may get the admiration, but admiration is undesirable because it really disguised envy. So never seek admiration because you're just seeking envy that way. So what is your problem? How to study with the right motive? Is that your problem?
Yes, that's the problem.
Well, the right motive would be healing, seeking healing, and liberation. Seeking to be liberated from the limitations of the human condition. That would be the right motive.
How would one know if one...
Jesus said, I am come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. Or what kind of abundant life did Jesus have in mind?
I don't know.
The abundant life is that which is full of blessings and which has been where limitations of the human condition have been outgrown, where there is no more envy, jealousy, rivalry, and malice, and pride, ambition, vanity, all of these human foibles and troublesome inclinations, and among them primarily self-confirmatory tendencies, have been left behind. We leave it behind and we attain a great sense of freedom called the glorious liberty of the children of God. And that's our motive. And by liberating ourselves from the human inclinations, we become beneficial presences in the world, and everyone around us benefits from our own progress.
So that's how we can tell if we are studying with the right motive, if we see those blessings in our lives.
That's right. And if we know what liberation means,
What does liberation mean?
freedom from the human foibles, the natural foibles of being human, which I have just enumerated. Would you like me to repeat them?
No, I understand what you mean.
Pride, ambition, vanity, envy, jealousy, rivalry, malice, boasting, hating, valiating. Right?
Thank you.
Okay.
This is Roberta.
Hello, Roberta.
I think I have a demonstration of it. Or the picture mentioned.
No, go ahead. Demonstrate.
I moved off with frequently.
Yes.
Black two braids I've noticed with a stick back. And I would like to know the meaning of it.
Yes. Yes. Well, you have to tell us about what's going on in your life lately.
It's a lot. It's really interesting because when it started, I had a dream, and in that dream, and it was very vivid, I apologized to my former husband and told him that I regretted being manipulative, and I mentioned a whole bunch of things. When I woke up feeling very relieved, very light, got out of bed, and and I said, I don't understand this. And I'm still so it starts when I get up out of bed, this sickness.
Yes.
And it's basically at the base of the spine.
Yes.
And that was one of the things. So, there's plenty of other things going on.
Yeah. So, yeah, no.
The job and things of that.
The job. Yes. Well, yeah, it is a tension backache because apparently you are still fighting with your husband.
Yes.
And you are rigidly holding yourself up as being righteous or having been innocently abandoned, something like that.
Yeah.
It's just a thought, and if you would really forgive me, I would leave you.
I have been trying. I have been trying to forgive. Is something wrong? I'm sorry. Is it all right?
I can hear you.
Okay. We're having good trouble. I have been trying to forgive him. I've been trying to forgive myself and everyone involved in the situation.
Yes.
But apparently, it seems to be taking a while.
Would you like to know how to forgive?
Yes, please.
You stop blaming. Stop blaming yourself and stop blaming him and stop blaming the other lady. And you just refrain from blaming.
And when a thought of blame comes up, I need to just...
You just mind fast, mind fasting, prayer and fasting. You refrain from blaming and you remind yourself that you are here for God and God is your life and all good things come from above, from the Father of light with whom there is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Where you seek the good of life in your awareness of God. And that way you can forgive.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Pastor Hora?
Yeah?
is Fern.
Yes, Fern.
You've been talking about prayer and meditation.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could explain a little more. I know that often when we're praying for someone else or even for ourselves, and let's say we have the awareness that of what's wrong, that someone is ill or something is inflicted in someone's life, we often tend to just take our thoughts and make an image of that going well. To picture the person well or healthy or the situation right here.
Yes.
What is the difference between that and truly praying to see wholeness or being eventually the presence with our prayer?
Yes. It is very fashionable in California nowadays to resort to so-called visualization, which is imagining oneself to be healthy. Well, whatever we can imagine will always remain purely imaginary. So,
Yes.
well, that is really a mistaken, very childish idea. I recently listened to a tape from S. And the fellow Werner
Earhart.
He doesn't say, it was very interesting, he doesn't say imagine this or imagine that. He said, create yourself an experience. Create yourself an experience of being on a boat and lying in the sunshine, and create yourself an experience that you are flying in outer space, and create yourself an experience that you see this light. You know, he uses this phrase, create yourself an experience, avoiding the word imagine yourself to be in outer space. He doesn't say, imagine yourself to be in outer space, create yourself this experience. Now, of course, that shows you he's aware of the fact that the imagination it can be experienced, but just because we can experience something, it doesn't mean that it really is so. Suppose you would create yourself an experience of being healthy, right?
Right.
You would suddenly feel healthy. But would you really be healthy? No. You would be just deluding yourself of being healthy. There is such a thing,
Yeah.
as the delusion of health. And now, so this idea is very childish, and it is many people are falling for it. But you cannot hope to be healed on the basis of using your imagination. If that were possible, people would have done this for thousands of years. That is self-hypnotism.
Dr. Hora, this is Georgiana, and I have a question about that.
Yes.
I was thinking about when I'm doing a prayer of glowing, and I think what I'm doing is using my imagination to glow for God rather than praying and meditating. Because I find myself visualizing myself glowing.
Yes.
Would that be the same thing?
Yes, of course. That is self-deception. It is simply self-deception.
Could you go over the prayer of glowing so I don't do that anymore?
The glowing spontaneously occurs as we fill our consciousness with love. You see, love intelligence, God, cannot be imagined.
So that any time I'm praying or meditating and I imagine something, then I'm again leaving God out of the picture.
Yes, you are just creating your own reality. But man is not a creator. Man is a miscreator.
Dr. Hora, when we are praying effectively or meditating effectively, we
Yes.
let God's reality into our consciousness.
Exactly. Exactly.
How can we know we're doing that? It's because you can have an experience of being at peace or being relieved. I mean, as Roberta just spoke about being relieved as if something had passed and you transcended it, and then how can you
But you see,
how can we be helped to pray?
only God can heal. If we try to heal ourselves through imagination, we are leaving God out of the picture, or we are imagining God with our own human mind. We are just deluding ourselves. And we are creating ourselves experiences.
I think then that true, genuine prayer
Yes.
would always begin with the awareness that of ourselves we can do nothing.
Of course. And that we are nothing. And the illness is nothing.
The illness is nothing.
And God is everything. And God is good. And God is life. And God is love intelligence. And spiritual values cannot be imagined because they have no form. See, what is a form? What is imagination? Imagination is an endeavor to create pictures in the mind.
Yes.
Which is giving form to thought. Which is in the Bible it is spoken of as making oneself graven images. Is familiar with that commandment?
Yes.
Thou shalt not make thyself graven images. So, if we are praying, we seek to fill our consciousness not with images of any kind, but with spiritual values. Love, intelligence, beauty, harmony, freedom, joy, peace, assurance, gratitude. We seek to become aware of the presence of God, infinite love intelligence, to such a point that we lose sight of our body and our problems. You know that the Zen people speak of shunyata, which is emptiness. Did you ever think of what they mean by that?
So something of letting our own thoughts be completely empty and nothing.
It is a discovery of the fact that right where a physical person seems to be, there is nothing material there, that the whole place is filled with God. Nothing really is except love intelligence. And in meditation, we seek to become aware of that emptiness, that void, which is filled with the presence of God. And it cannot be imagined. It can only be realized. And when a realization takes place, there is a healing. The Zen master put it this way: erase yourself utterly. So the presence of God has to fill the place where we seem to be. Remember what we said. Man is a place where God's presence reveals itself as omni-active love intelligence. Now this is something that you cannot imagine, but you can become aware of it. And using your imagination will just hinder the process of meditation. When you are relying on visualization and imagining, you are not praying and you are not meditating, you are engaging in wishful thinking. And wishful thinking has never accomplished anything.
My name is Gary, and the thing I'd like to ask you, the information I'd like to ask you for is, I believe that as long as I am continually going back on prior experiences, I am diluting the possibilities of my today. And yet sometimes it's impossible for me to get rid of some of the things that are in my mind that are cluttering and taking up things from my past. So what can you suggest that I can do to get free of the things in my past and let my mind be completely free and open for today? In other words, clean out
memories of the past and not aware of a compulsion, which is called obsessive rumination with the past, that has a meaning. And the meaning is most probably this. You're trying to undo the past or change it so that it would have a better fate. People who keep dwelling on the past, especially painful past, are trying to change the past. And that cannot be done. Now the past does not have to, one must not repress it or suppress it, but neither do we have to change it. The past must be remembered in order to be forgotten. What we don't remember, we cannot forget. But if we are trying to alter the past through the use of imagination and wishful thinking, then it will become an obsession. And we will constantly try to think about the past. So what is needed is, again, forgiveness. What I said to Roberta, the same applies to the situation. We face up to the past and we don't try to change it. We forgive the past. And the forgiveness process is based on giving up the desire to blame people or ourselves. And when we have forgiven it, then it will not disturb us, it will not come back again, and we will be able to let go of it and turn our attention to the infinite omnipresence of divine love intelligence. So it is very well possible, Jerry is your name?
Yes.
That you are trying to improve the past instead of forgiving. You can catch yourself trying to improve the past.
I find that this is very definitely blocking my ability in meditation and prayer to let go and let God.
Right.
I don't know whether it's the cart creating the horse or which is coming first, but I'm having a problem just letting go in prayer. But there is a block. It's just what is creating my block. And if so, I feel that it's creating an impossible situation for any relationship I am currently in to grow.
Yes. Well, you're probably blaming someone for your past. And nobody is to blame. Ignorance is the culprit in every situation. And we have to recognize this. And when we give up the desire to blame, then the past will be let go of, and you will be free to turn your full attention to the good of God, which already is and always really was. The past actually never was a reality, because you were always a child of God, a spiritual consciousness, and nothing else. Again, the past is imagination, you see. Imagination, whatever can be imagined, is purely imaginary. It will never be real.
And if I can totally accomplish by giving up
There is not to blame.
the judging through meditation and prayer.
Yes. Don't judge, don't blame, don't try to change the past. That's not your job. There is nothing to change. It never really was. Reality is now, and it is divine, and it is not essential. And that's what you are now.
Could be strong desire to do this, but not knowing quite how to do it, interfere with my sleep and give me headaches.
Of course, of course. The way to do it is to stop blaming and stop correcting. You don't have to change anything. Nothing needs to be improved. Everything is already perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Hora, this is Claudia.
Hello, Claudia.
I was going to ask a question for a meaning of a dream, but it seems like it might have been answered, but I'll ask it. After Thursday, Bruce Jeffrin, she has been talking about spiritual ambition, and I've been aware that for the last few months I've had a sense of war. And the dream I had that night as I was going to sleep, often I meditate on your suggestion of the wave in the ocean of love intelligence. And when I awakened in the morning, I had a dream. I had remembered a dream that I and a lot of people were swimming in an ocean. And all of a sudden, we looked up and there was no ocean. It was just dry land. And it was a hill upward. And all of a sudden, the thought came, well, how can that be possible? The ocean cannot disappear. So, could you help me with the meaning of that?
Unless it was an imaginary ocean.
that certainly there's so according to the spiritual ambition, you're thinking that primarily was
Right. Right. So you see, that shows you that to imagine something is very easy.
Yes.
But to realize something means climbing a steep hill. It's not so easy. But it can happen if you know the difference between meditation and wishful thinking.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Dr. Hora, Bill.
Hello, Bill.
Hello. I've been noticing lately, quite a few times in the group, that I find myself very impressed by spiritual statements. I see I'll come across with something that's in the Bible, and I'll think, so, well, that's good. I latch onto it.
Yes.
And I'd like to know the meaning of that. Like, I like that. I don't know any other way to put it.
Yes, well, that's very good.
Well, I don't think I really understand it, though. I think I would like to know if there would be another way that I might hear that and say, this is good, but and respond in another way.
Yes. Well, of course, if you like it, that's a good beginning. But then you ask yourself, what relevancy does this quotation or Christian have to my daily life? In what way could this statement increase my sense of freedom and dominion over the human condition? And then you take the statement into meditation and contemplate it, and wait for new insight to emerge. That is called contemplative meditation, which can be very helpful. But be careful not to into visualizations and imaginations, because that is just self-deception, like Claudette Ocean. That ocean of love intelligence was a figment of imagination.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, about my name is Art, and could you comment on visualization and imagination as it relates to the success of Dr. Simon's photography, cancer victim patients in the Plaintown, Texas?
I don't know anything about his art. I'm very sorry. But maybe this doctor is a loving man, and it is the love of God which we communicate rather than the fantasy. Fantasies have no healing power. Love does.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Dr. Hora, this is Alice.
Ellie, yeah.
Seems that lately my bubble of being a knower has been burst.
That's
And
good.
I find that I have a fear of being around people. I seem to be aware that everything I say is self-confirmatory, and I have been avoiding people.
Yes.
I would like to understand the meaning of that.
Well, of course, it's easier to avoid people than to give up self-confirmatory ideation. Well, you are copying out. What is needed is to lose interest in self-confirmation and learn to be here for God. And then you will be at ease. You will be living in the land of Pago, wherever you are, whether you're alone or whether with others. It will make no difference. You will be poised and peaceful and have a sense of assurance. You just refrain from self-confirmatory thought and understand that you're hurting yourself that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Dr. Hora, this is Ken.
Yes, Ken.
I have a two-part question here.
All right.
First, I want to make a statement and find out if it's accurate, and then I'll ask the question. And the statement is that, is it accurate that we don't fill our consciousness with reality or spiritual values? All we can really do is interested in understanding what really is, or interested in understanding reality. And then when we understand it, at that point our consciousness is filled with reality and the totality.
Yeah, that is correct.
And the next part of the question is there a criteria for knowing or determining what really is, or a criteria for knowing or determining what reality really is? Because it's not experience and it's not imagination. Is there another criteria?
Well, of course, we have spoken about form and formlessness, about what can be imagined and what cannot be imagined. These are endeavors to describe what reality is and what it isn't. And furthermore, we have the pego, which is the realization, which is an indicator of being in contact with reality. So there we have the friction and differentiation between what is and isn't reality, and we have the effect of the realization. And that's the way we can know it.
Okay, in terms of Hegel, I think in my thinking, when I describe Hegel, I think of myself in the sense of Hegel, which is a sentience without an essential, when that's separate from knowing where rhythms are going.
Yes. Well, the sense of Hegel is not linguistically correct. An awareness of Hegel would be more correct.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Ken.
Hello, Dr. Hora.
Yes.
This is Stuart.
Hello, Stuart.
Hello. I have a question about a paradox that I seem to be confronting, which is somewhat intellectual, but not really. I'm looking at interactive life as a perceptual error, kind of the imagination we spoke about, which I found to be a very profound statement. That if you can imagine it, it is imaginary. But at the same time, I'm realizing that nothing is hidden, that it's all there. So what seems to be is good, but it's also what seems to be. If you can help me with that, I would appreciate it.
I would gladly help you, but I don't understand what you said.
Okay, I'll try to. That's my confusion. That's my cloud. In looking at other people, I see them as people, kind of the way I was brought up through hypnotized. I notice the colors of clothing they're wearing, but I believe that to not be reality, that's what seems to be.
Yeah.
That's my perception.
Yeah.
So I have that, and that's a hard one to overcome, not to be as fascinated by that interactive thinking.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm coming to realize that nothing is really hidden that's good is out there.
Yeah. Nothing is hidden from them that have learned to see.
Yeah.
But they that have eyes to see, as the Bible says. Yeah?
Well, it seems paradoxical to me that what seems to be is good. So on one level, I'm attempting not to be distracted by what seems to be, but it all seems to be working out.
What seems to be is never good. It is always good and fair.
Yeah, it's dualistic.
Right.
Okay, I see that. But what seems to be that, but what about my impression that nothing is hidden, that it's already all right?
Well, that's not an impression, that's a belief.
Well, I don't believe it. I'm experiencing. Well, beyond experiencing it, it just is what is.
Yes. Well, if you were really able to see what really is, the good of what really is, then you wouldn't ask this question. you would like to believe that you can see the good of what really is. But it is all right, you work on it, and eventually you will really see.
Yeah, so
You are on the right track.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, it is not easy to reach that point where one can really discern the good of God, which really is, because that's beyond the senses. It requires spiritual discernment.
There's actually the difficulty I'm having is that there's really nothing to do. And I've spent many years being a doer,
Yes,
and that's shifting gears.
yes. You're welcome, Ken.
Hello, Hillary. Dr. Hora?
Yes, I heard you.
Hello?
Yes?
Oh, okay. I would like to talk to you about a problem that I have that I think has to do with addiction.
Yes.
Yes. There's a long family history in my family of addiction to both alcohol and to drugs.
Yes.
And while I don't have any problem with that, because I've always had a very proud that I'm not addicted or anything like the rest, most of my family are.
Yes.
I think that I am addicted to food.
Yes.
Yes. I've done a lot of study with addiction, and a lot of things like alcoholics think about their food, or drug addicts think about their drugs. I think about food. If I get nervous, I run to food.
Yes.
I always make sure that my favorite foods are in the house because I don't want to run out.
Yes.
And the idea of diet is very nice. And in praying about this and reading the Bible to look for a source of help, what came to my attention was the story of the Samaritan woman at the well.
Yes.
Because the essence of food and addiction is what you always need more. You're never satisfied.
Right.
I will eat until my stomach is painful.
Yes.
Yes. And but when Jesus said that who would preach should ever drink of this water that I give him,
You'll never serve.
right, it will give him a well of everlasting life.
Yes.
So how am I doing and how can I do better? Because I'm not sure with it yet.
Yes. Well, clearly, you seem to be looking for fulfillment.
Yes, I was a very full one.
You're really seeking fulfillment in life, but food, material food, cannot give us fulfillment, only a stomachache. Or what is the secret of fulfillment? The Bible says, blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. In other words, we can find fulfillment if we are seekers after the truth. Only the realization of the truth of being here for God can lead us to a state of fulfillment where there is no more fear of starvation and a sense of emptiness and lack of fulfillment. So the answer to your problem is to turn to your attention not to what your stomach wants, but what God wants. And learn to live according to what God wants, which is to be here for God, to manifest love intelligence in your life. And then there will be no more the problem which you are describing.
So don't look for what my stomach wants, but what God wants.
Correct.
No, Dr. Hora, every problem I ever present to you, you say, don't look to what you want, look to what God does.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, isn't that something?
I seem to have a one-track mind. But that's the only solution there really is. There's no other solution to the problems of living.
Dr. Hora, this is John.
Hello, John.
I have a question about affluence.
Affluent. All right, John.
There seems to be a predominance of thinking about the economy right now, about the idea of scarcity.
Yes.
And I'm involved in a profession where it seems to be being affected by the economy. And what I would like to have you expand on is the idea that money or affluence is a shadow of love.
Yes.
Would it be possible for you to expand on that idea for me?
Yes. Tell me, what kind of work do you do?
I'm in architecture,
Architecture.
but tied to the building industry and the banks and interest rates and all those things that seem to be important to the profession.
Yes. Well, I find that people who have difficulty demonstrating affluence in their lives very often don't work for money. They work for ego gratification. And that interferes with their affluence. You see, affluence is the flow of love intelligence from God into human consciousness. But if we are interested in something else, then this flow is blocked. And there is no affluence. There can be all sorts of problems. So it is very important to eliminate the obstacles to the flow of love intelligence into consciousness. Because in proportion that there is a free flow of love intelligence into consciousness, in that proportion there will be affluence. And one of the greatest obstacles to that flow is working for ego gratification. Now, if you can detect that motivation in yourself, say yourself, I am here to work for a living and to live for God. And the more love intelligence will flow through your consciousness into the world, the more affluent you will become. But make sure that you are working for a living and not for any other purpose.
That what we call right usefulness?
Yes, correct.
Thank you, Dr. Hora.
You're welcome.
I'd have to heard it to Janet.
Yes, Janet.
The statement, the past must be remembered in order to be forgotten.
Right.
Previously, I'd like to know the meaning of remembering as opposed to being preoccupied with or giving a substance.
Yes. Well, I just explained to you, if you're preoccupied with the past, you are either trying to change it or you have a desire to blame somebody for it. Sort of even the score. That if you give up blaming and you give up the fantasy of changing the past, then it will be just remembered in a neutral sort of a way, like some fantasy which has no relevance to your life, you will be able to let go of it. And you'll go free. So forgive the fact.
So simply remembering is just being aware of?
Yes. Without trying to change it, improve it, or revenge yourself for it, or blame somebody for it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Dr. Hora, this is David.
Yes, David?
Recently I started teaching a class at Orange Coast College using one of the themes or principles of metapsychiatry. Nothing comes into experience uninvited.
Yes.
What I'm interested in is to understand a bit about a reaction I had after the class was over. And I went to bed, and I couldn't go to sleep.
Yes.
Outside, my guy was excited.
Yes.